Hello and welcome to the 184th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our other host, Jordan.
That's me.
Jordan, remind the people where they can find this stupid thing.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and RSS Feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify have the video platforms where you can see us, and Instagram, TikTok, you can reach out to us, contact us there, say hi. We also have email, synapsemisfire@pm.me, comments, questions, concerns, death threats, and little kitty bit city stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think firstly, I think up top, it's important to talk about an important milestone that we've hit.
Yeah.
We're now actually incomprehensibly famous.
Yes, we are.
100 subscribers. That's 3 digits.
I immediately texted Chris and was like, what's a Joe Rogan anyway?
Dude,
I never heard of that guy.
You know, he's got an $80 million Spotify deal. We have an $81 million Spotify deal now.
Yeah. You won't know I'm rich, but there will be signs.
There will be signs. If I turn up on the podcast on a tricycle with a comically large lollipop and a propeller hat, that's how you know I've won it big. I've hit it big.
Yeah.
But that was some news that we got. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and shout out to the guy who said he liked my pictures that we put up in the last episode. Don't know if you were a bot or not, but if you were,
they were good
I still
pictures.
appreciate it.
I mean, They were good. I liked them, Jordan, if it means anything.
That was actually Chris's alt account.
They're actually all my alt accounts.
Oh, shit. That's what Bud Light Boy said to me. He was like, so how long did it take you to make all those accounts? And I said we had 100 subscribers.
Well, so on a Google account, you can link like 50 YouTube accounts.
Yeah.
So, not that long, actually.
No, not at all. The hardest part was just typing in the numbers after each person's name.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, 100 subscribers. That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a single hunch.
Yeah. We're gonna lose them all now.
We're gonna be at the top soon.
Yeah, we're
How many subscribers does Mr. Beast have?
40 million or some stupid shit? Or 80 million?
Subscriber count. Well, he's the most subscribed guy now.
Is he still? Yeah.
That's what I heard.
I thought Ronaldo or some shit had passed him.
Dude, we're almost there.
316 million.
316 million?
God damn.
I remember back in my day.
Yeah,
Back in my day, I remember when it was when the Mr. Beast of that time had 2 million subscribers.
It's PewDiePie, basically. PewDiePie was the biggest for the longest time.
He was the biggest for a while, and he was the biggest when he had 10 million.
Yeah.
10. And then he was the biggest when he had 100 million. Mr. Beast is 306. I'm getting old, dude. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
That's entirely too many people.
That is way too much power. Yeah.
He's got that's the population of the U.S. almost.
Look up. What is the 2024 population?
I think it's 350 million. 345 million. He's 30 million off. 30 million off having the entire population of the United States subscribe to him.
That's ridiculous. That is
Mr.
ridiculous.
Beast, Jimmy Beast, run for president.
He'd probably win, which is the sad part.
Well, how many of these? I bet probably maybe 316 of these 316 million people are old enough to vote. So
yeah, I was gonna say.
I think I don't know anyone over the age of 12 who watches Mr. Beast. To be fair,
which is also part of the problem.
Yeah.
You hear about the new thing they're doing? The Lunchly thing?
The Lunchables? The fucking bootleg Lunchables?
It's called Lunchly, and it just has a fucking chocolate bar in it, a Prime fucking hydration drink, and then some other dumb shit.
I just think we should stop giving kids slop made by YouTubers.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying slop made by celebrities or companies is much better, but slop made by YouTubers are uniquely bad.
Well, because you realize that there's not a kid out there that is like you said under 12 that isn't gonna see that and be like, I need that. They're gonna literally be like, I need it. SpongeBob, like that's literally gonna be every 12-year-old.
Dude, having fucking, oh, you got the new Jimmy Beast Lunchables, dude, he's gonna be the most popular kid at the elementary school lunch table.
For real, and I just don't get it. Like, I don't know, I'm not a fan. As a parent, I would not be purchasing a Lunchly. I would not be purchasing a Lunchable, to be quite frank.
I would give my kid a little Lunchable,
like
as
one.
A treat.
Like one every now and again.
That's like how often I got Lunchables as a kid. Was like, if I was lucky, maybe every once in a while I would get a little nacho Lunchable or like a pizza Lunchable or something. Yeah. But Lunchables were not like a common thing.
No, I just kind of feel like, Chris, like, I don't know, maybe my opinion will change when I actually have kids, but I just sort of feel like if you're not able to just prepare a meal of actual sustenance for your child for lunch, then you just probably shouldn't have had the kid in the first place.
Or just like, I mean, I don't know, like, school lunches are still a thing.
Yeah.
And they cost less than a Lunchable and give probably more food.
Probably better sustenance, too, overall. Like, I don't know. I want to know, actually, how much sodium is in a Lunchable. I'm just curious.
All of it. Yeah, so the point is, we're kind of old curmudgeons now.
Dude, up to 740 milligrams of sodium.
Light work.
I don't know, man. Either way.
So point is, I think we're going to be introducing our own product line very soon.
Yes, that was actually where I was going with that.
It's gonna be called Tuber Slop, and it's gonna be a can, unbranded can, pre-rusted on the outside, and when you open it up, it's going to be like a cum-like substance in it. It's not going to be cum,
but the FDA,
but it's going to look a lot like it.
The FDA has said it's not cum, so we're good.
And the FDA says it's okay. Fit for human consumption, but just barely. You take this, you open the can of Tuber Slop, you use a can opener, and then you just, and this big brick of like gelatinous substance falls into your mouth.
Keeping you satiated for all those hard days.
You don't need to microwave it. You don't need to refrigerate it. It will last on a shelf. Even if you open the can, it will last on a shelf for at least 65 years.
And if Fallout does become a reality, it'll still be around.
It will actually be improved by the surrounding nuclear radiation.
Yeah, it actually grows in size.
You get more Tuber Slop if you put radiation in it.
But don't microwave it.
Because then your microwave might explode.
Yeah.
There might be too much Tuber Slop in your microwave.
It's like those dinosaurs that are foam that you stick in a bathtub and they...
Yeah.
It's like that, but for radiation. It sucks up all the radiation.
Sucks up radiation. We're actually working on an experiment where we drop a small can of Tuber Slop directly into the core of a nuclear reactor to see what happens.
And if that goes well, we're actually going to launch one into the sun.
We're actually going to launch one directly into the sun to see if it'll put out the sun.
Yeah. And we're going to Tuber Slop the sun.
We're going to
get pranked.
We're going to get our Tuber Slop all over the sun.
That's at 2 million subscribers, so get us there. And we'll Tuber Slop the sun.
At 110 subscribers, we'll unironically release Tuber Slop on the market. We'll sell it at Walmart. It'll be Mr. Beast chocolate bars, Logan Paul Prime,
KSI's thing.
I think he's also Prime.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy Beast Lunchables, Tuber Slop, Chris and Jordan's Tuber Slop.
Yep.
It's gonna be pictures of us, but photoshopped very slightly, so we look fucked up, but you're not quite sure why.
it's just proportion changes, like one ear's bigger than the other, and like...
Yeah, but like 2% bigger, so you can tell something's wrong, but you're not sure what it is.
Yeah, we can't quite pinpoint it.
And then it's gonna be us like that, and we're pouring cans of Tuber Slop down the middle of the poster.
Yeah, into a vat.
Into a big vat that says, for your children on it.
For America's children, yeah.
All right, old man rant over.
Yeah, what have you been up to, Chris?
You know what? Something happened recently. I I was playing, let's back up. God of War Ragnarok got released on PC. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
I played it a little bit. It's still God of War Ragnarok.
It's still fun.
It's still a lot of fun. That's all I have to say on that.
Voice acting, still great.
Kratos, he's still there.
Wait, he's in this one?
Atreus is there too.
No way, they got him back for this one too?
And, you're not going to believe it, Brock and Sindri, both there.
Bro, what about Mimir?
He's there too.
Oh my god. I'm buying it right now.
And guess what? He still doesn't have a body.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's just God of War Ragnarok. That's it. And it's just on PC.
Yeah.
The performance leaves a little bit to be desired, but it is what it is. That's the state of modern PC gaming now, is like a game that like on paper should your PC should be able to run. It has trouble running for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even have that old of a graphics card. I have a 2080.
Yeah.
And I'm not upgrading. I'm not upgrading. I'm going to build a new computer when the 50 series comes out. But, like, I'm not upgrading before then.
Yeah, no.
I don't need to. The rest of my computer is fine. So, we'll see what that brings. But, like, I feel like there's a lot of games that, like, on paper, I should be able to run fine that don't run very fine.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that happened. What also happened was recently there was an announcement made about Roadcraft.
Oh boy.
A Roadcraft is a new Snowrunner game, or a new like Mud Runner sort of game. I don't know if it's linked to that series exactly, but it's made by the same people. And it's basically it's going to be Snowrunner, but when you improve the map, it actually makes the map like more usable.
Yeah.
So like in Snowrunner, you can make improvements to the map, but it's like, oh, you improve the map this way by like you build a bridge. So now you have access to this bridge now. But you have to still do 20 minutes of like really intense, hardcore off-roading to get to the bridge that you can use now.
Yeah.
Where it seems like with Roadcraft, you're actually putting down a road.
Wait, you're crafting a road?
You're crafting a road.
That's so weird.
In
Roadcraft.
Roadcraft.
Yeah, that's bizarre, yeah.
So then you can probably, at some point, drive on that road.
Nah.
So it's going to be kind of like a Death Stranding sort of situation where you can make parts of the map easier to
Progress.
traverse. That's the word.
Yeah.
Easier to traverse in a way that makes it easier for you to do your logistical operations. For a guy like me, if you know what I'm trying to say, for a guy like me, this is like, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I'm all over it. I love Snowrunner. Expeditions came out at some point, which kind of flopped really hard. There's not a whole lot to do in Expeditions, to be fair.
It seemed like it should have just been a DLC.
Yeah,
Like
if it
Snowrunner.
was like a DLC for Snowrunner, yeah, I think that would have been
Because it's
fine.
basically just off-road, like, trucking, right? Like,
It's
without cargo?
Yeah, it's like you're not really moving stuff. There's not like big trucks. It's more about scout trucks.
Yeah, and you're just like off rock crawling and shit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool mechanics that were introduced in Expeditions that would be really useful in Snowrunner. So I hope they show up in Roadcraft. But if you're into that sort of genre of games, again, if you know what I'm trying to say, if you're into that sort of genre of games, you're gonna love this one. It comes out next year, I think early next year. So I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this should be cool. Hopefully they pull it off and like give it, what it needs. Because I do feel like Expeditions would have been the perfect DLC for Snowrunner.
Well, because if they put the love that they put into Snowrunner into Roadcraft, it's going to be crazy. Because Snowrunner came out in 2020, I think. And we're still getting content for it.
Yeah.
It's in the final year of content now, but like 4 years of content where they're releasing content like quarterly.
And good content, too.
And it's like a lot of content. There's some, and I've seen complaints about certain content that they've released, certain seasons that they've released. And the complaints that are to be found are like, oh yeah, this map's too hard. Get better at the game. It's an off-road trucking simulator. You're going to drive off-road a little bit.
And it's not going to be easy because you're off-road.
It's not going to be easy because you're driving a 40,000-pound truck.
With trees.
You're driving a 40,000-pound truck through 6 feet of snow. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah. While carrying 14 trees behind you.
Yeah, while carrying 38 tons of concrete in your bed. Like, it's not going to be exactly a cakewalk.
Yeah.
So if you're complaining that Snowrunner's too hard, I have to take the Dark Souls approach and just say, get good.
Yeah.
Get good.
It's not like unfair hard. That's the difference. That's the thing with Dark Souls games. They're not generally unfair hard, where it's like you can't do it. You just have to learn how.
Yeah.
Which I admit I don't do.
Snowrunner's kind of like that, where like I don't think there are things that have happened in Snowrunner or like things that I've noticed in Snowrunner that were difficult that I'm like, that's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Which I've noticed in now replaying God of War Ragnarok or playing it a little bit on PC is that game has a lot of bullshit in it. Like when an enemy swings at you and you dodge and they just magnet their swing over.
Yeah. They track you like fucking crazy.
That's such horse shit.
Yeah.
It pisses me off every time. Like, it happened to me while I was fighting Thor. And it was like, I dodged, and his attack magneted onto me in such a way that I took damage, and he swung, I took damage, but it didn't make contact with me.
Makes sense.
That's such horse shit.
He clearly thought about hurting you.
And that's in 2018, too. That's just how the game works, I guess.
Yeah.
So, anyway, new SnowRunner game. I love SnowRunner so much, and they're still doing content for it. I think you can get all the content. You can get the game and all the content full price for like, I think $80, which is like fucking crazy.
For the amount of content, yeah.
I have so much time in that game. I have like 200 or 300 hours in that game, and there are maps I have not even opened.
Yeah.
There are maps I have not even opened. I've done at least a little bit on a lot of the maps, but like, that's how the game is. You can jump into a map, play that map for 2 or 3 hours, and be like, all right, I'm bored. And then jump to another map. You can do that probably, I think, like 14 different times with different regions.
Yeah.
Like, and all the other maps are like connected to different maps too. So, it's worth it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's worth it. It's worth a try. It's worth a play.
Yeah, they gave it away for free on Epic Games one day. I have it on Epic and I played it. And it's not the type of game for me, but I've definitely played it. And I can appreciate what it offers, and like I'll have a little fun driving around, fucking doing 2 wheels on mud and almost flipping over and be like, oh shit, or pulling myself through trees with a winch. But it's a fun game if you're into that kind of thing.
I'm big on not doing recovery so when you flip your truck or whatever. There's an option you can pop the menu open and recover back to the garage. I'm big on not doing that.
And physically going and recovering.
And I'll recover if the truck is on its wheels and I know I could capably drive back. But like if I flip a truck, I'm like, all right, I'm going to grab another truck and I'm going to drive over and I'm going to pull it out. Because it's just more fun that way.
It's more authentic, yeah. There's no recover button in real life, so.
Like I did one recently where I was trying to... You have to navigate through this, like, essentially a maze of... Because there's, like a garage warehouse type area that has a bunch of debris and rubble and stuff in it. And you have to kind of, like, snake your way through the rubble in such a way that you can activate different checkpoints, basically. And... There's an area where you can get onto like a ramp made out of rubble, and it gets on top of like a building, or goes like around. and I got a truck stuck wedged between the building and the side of the ramp that you're supposed to be on. Then I drove another truck over, a bigger truck, and snuck it through, and then winched to that truck, and then yanked the truck out of where it was wedged, damaging it severely, but it was still drivable.
Yeah.
And then, so the game can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, to me, it's a lot like racing games where, like, I can see Forza Horizon 5 or Gran Turismo 7 and be like, those are objectively excellent games, but I would never play them personally. But I can still appreciate them.
I like Forza in the same way I feel like a lot of women like The Sims.
Okay.
Where I play Forza like you would play dolls. Where I buy them like, this car's cool. I'm going to put this car, I'm going to put big wheels on it. And it's going to be blue, and it's going to be really fast, and then I'm going to see how fast it'll go, and then I'm going to get off a ramp, and then it's going to go down the drag strip, and then it'll be fun, and it's going to go boom, and then I'm going to crash it, and then I'm going to get a new car and do it again.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That's funny. Me, as I say, I would never play Forza, but I did play The Sims like a week ago. The Sims is fun, man. I just wish there was a good Sims experience that I didn't have to pay $2,000 for.
Yeah, so it's like you get the Sims 4 base game for like $5.
It's free to play now, actually.
It's free to play, so it's free for this base Sims, and then it's like, hey, do you want to do anything?
Do you want a cat? $25.99.
Do you want a cat? $25.99. Do you want a dog? $28.99. Do you want to be a farmer or have other sorts of professions? Oh, $39.99.
The Sims is a weird one because it really would be like, do you want to have your Sims be able to go on vacation? $49.99. Do you want cats? $24.99. And then all of a sudden it's just like, do you want to be a vampire? $18.99. Like,
I like when The Sims 3 Supernatural came out because I had a lot of the Sims 3 content packs because
it wasn't egregious. It was bad, but not egregious.
I had a lot of the content packs because I don't think a lot of them were, I don't think they were DRM'd for a while. So you could just get the disc and then install it to your Sims like save. And then you would just have the content and EA wouldn't do like a DRM check to make sure you actually bought it. So I knew someone who had a bunch of the DLCs, a bunch of the content packs, and I just installed a shitload of them. So I had a bunch of them, and then I bought Supernatural. And I was like, it's so interesting because it's like, all right, this one lets you have a cat, a dog, a horse. This one gives you a bunch of new furniture, a bunch of new locations. Fuck it. You can become a werewolf in this one.
Yeah.
You can become a werewolf. Who gives a shit? We're EA. We don't care. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Sims is a fun game, though. I really hope we get either a really good competitor that's a complete package to The Sims, like Paralives that's being made, or I don't know. I just hope The Sims DLC someday goes on sale for like 99 cents because, dude, it is so much money for the cool stuff.
If there is a game that I think needs a complete edition, it's The Sims.
I would be willing to pay like $180 for a complete edition.
If it was like, I was thinking they could take all the DLCs, discount them, and then sell them all as one package for like $180, and they would make so many more sales. Yeah. The reason I don't have like The Sims is because I'm pissed off at all the DLC packs. I'm like, I don't want to have to pick all this shit. There's like 100. I don't know what I'm gonna choose.
Yeah. The Sims 4 on Steam, no sale. It looks like right now. There is 83 DLCs. There is a big sale going on.
Shit.
There's 83 DLCs, by the way, with the lowest sale on it being 30% off. No, sorry, 20% off. But there's a lot of 50s, 30s, 35s, and it's still $857 to buy the DLCs. Like, why do I need to buy the Horse Ranch expansion pack, the toddler stuff, the spooky stuff, the jungle adventure, modern menswear? Like, what is this? The Sims 4 Parenthood? What does that do? Can you just not be a parent in the regular Sims? Oh, you get new parenting skills. and you get to shape your Sim's childhood, as well as embark on family activities.
I'm gonna raise my child to be evil.
This is just stupid. This just pisses me off. Someone said this should be in the base game, but overall, it's a nice addition.
Fuck you.
Like, okay. Yeah, this Sims pisses me off. Like, I would love to play The Sims 4 more, but not for that price.
Yeah, that's how Payday 2 was, honestly. Like, Payday 2 has so much fucking DLC.
Didn't they do an edition with, like, a complete edition, or no?
They did Crime Wave, which was for console, which had a lot of the DLC. And I think they might even had a Crime Wave for PC. I think they have an Ultimate Edition now, which is, like, has all the DLC and is really cheap, so I would just buy that now. See, that's what they did, is they took all the DLCs and they discounted all of them and then put them into one big pack that you can just buy.
Yeah.
And then people bought it, and they sold a lot more copies that way. So I'm just saying, EA, I think you can spare a couple of bucks.
Yeah. For DLC that's already been made for 5 years. So.
Yeah.
What about Payday 3? That's still... How's that going?
Not well. I mean, it's still there.
I remember the hype around that game.
They did some updates to the skill system. I know that. Where they made the skill system actually like a skill system.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so before, you would have to do challenges to get XP to level up. And now, you just... the challenges are extra XP on top of XP you get for completing a heist.
Okay.
Which is how it worked in Payday 2. You could do certain things that would give you extra XP.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost like
and then you would get XP at the end of the heist regardless.
But those would be like additive.
But those would be like bonuses.
Oh,
like
weird.
If you got like a bunch of the Gauge weapons packages, I think it would give you an XP bonus.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't think of any other game that ever did that. Not like Hitman or anything, like where you do like challenges and get like more XP.
Like that's kind of... I just think maybe you should just get an inherent amount of XP when you finish the mission.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like Call of Duty fucking 2 does that. Like, how many headshots did you get bonus XP? That's crazy.
And, you know, that's just on top of your base XP. That's not the only way you... Imagine a Fallout type game where it's
my God.
You can only level up through doing this very specific set of challenges.
Through doing dialogue with the right party or whatever and, like, making them your ally. That's how you get XP.
Well, that's kind of how skills work in fucking Starfield, to be fair.
Like,
you have to unlock, like, to unlock the skills that are beyond the base level ones, you have to do a challenge in addition to unlocking the skill.
It has multiple requirements, yeah.
So, like, you have to, for, like, the weapons ones, it's super easy because the challenge is just kill X amount of enemies. Okay, I can do that. But, like, for flying, it's like, all right, take down 15 ships. Like, I don't even run into hostile ships that much.
Yeah.
So...
Fair.
It's fucking stupid. Speaking of fucking stupid, I went to a casino for the first time ever recently.
That was your first time ever?
It was the first time I've ever been in a casino. And, you know what's terrifying? Putting an entire $20 bill in a machine, hitting a button like 3 times, and it's gone. It's gone.
Somehow faster than a Steam purchase.
I thought it was going to be... I was like, yeah, it was like adult Dave and Buster's, right? You hit a thing and you get tickets and whatever. No, dude, that's... Dave and Buster's is fun. I had fun at the casino, but I was like... I guess I had fun playing blackjack, but like playing like slots is just depressing. I was putting money into a box and it's going away.
It's going away.
And I thought it was like, oh, you could put, I could put a couple of bucks in this one. The smallest thing, the smallest bill the machine takes is a 5.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And the smallest bet is like $3.
Like, I don't understand. I can understand how people get addicted to gambling, but like, man.
Yeah, no,
it would take a lot for me to I would go again to a casino, but like I wouldn't go. It's like I would go there as like a, you know, how I went last weekend, where it was like hanging out with the boys more than anything else.
Yeah, I enjoy the casino. Like, I genuinely do. I don't see the addiction part of it where people like would get addicted. It's not for me, that part of it. But like, I do really enjoy going. I've gone probably 6 times in my entire life since I turned 18, and usually bring $60. One time, I think the most I've ever brought was the first time I went because people pooled in money to give me for my 18th birthday, and I brought like $125 or something, and like. I enjoy it, but this is usually how it goes. I either walk in, I put in a 20, and I turn it into like 40, and I take it right out, or I lose the 20, and then I just go, this is fucking stupid.
Well, that's how I always would play. That's how I played. Was like there was one machine where I put in the 20, I won like a couple of bucks, and then I won like 50 or something. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna cash out. I'm just gonna keep this voucher separate from my other money.
Yeah.
And then I won like $120 on another machine. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep this separate from my other money because I'm very cognizant of the phrase, quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
I was doing numbers on the blackjack table, though. I was going crazy.
Oh, yeah?
There was a whole thing about the graph. So apparently, one of our friends that went with us, you know, he's an engineering sort of fellow, and he was explaining that in blackjack, because the dealer has to hit a specific number. I think the dealer has to hit at least a soft 17, which is a soft number means you have an ace, because the ace can be a 1 or an 11. They have to hit like a soft 17. Statistically, if they have a lower number in a specific range, statistically they're more likely to bust than to get a high number, or like a 21. So it's better to stand even if you have a lower number, because statistically they will bust more. Yeah. So like there will be a number that will come up like a 6 or something, and I'll be like, is that a graph number? Is that a graph number? He's like, that's a strong graph number. I'm like, all right, I'm going to trust the graph. And every time I trusted the graph, it failed me.
I thought that was going somewhere else. I'm able to say I did numbers at 1.
I was like, you know what? This time I'm going to trust the graph, but I have a 13. I'm going to get a card. And I ended up with like an 18. And I was like, all right, a minor trust in the graph. And then the graph worked that time.
Fair.
So, all in all, fun experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, drinks were $1 billion. We had dinner at there was a steakhouse in the actual casino. Mm-hmm. We had dinner at that was like pretty good, but also
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Also, like my steak was $60, so, you know. There was a cigar bar there too, which calling it a cigar bar is kind of crazy because there was an actual bar like right next to this little lounge that you would go to, and then you would go up to the bar and they had like the teeny tiny humidor with like a few cigars in, and then you had to buy the cigar and then you would sit in this like jail cell sized room,
just smoke
a cigar. I've been to other cigar bars before, and it's like they're way nicer than this one. So I thought casinos were supposed to be sort of like
top of the top,
at least give you the vibe of luxury, you know.
Yeah, even if you're broke, yeah.
Even if you're, you know, they're like the peak of like white trash luxury. So
yeah,
about as good as I can afford.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I enjoy that. I do enjoy going. I do want to go again soon. And I also, like, I usually follow a rule, like a mental rule of if I just got there, like, if it's the first hour of me being there or first, like, 45 minutes, I don't really worry too much about my winnings unless I triple it. So if I put in, like, a 20 and I end up with 60, then I'll pull out. But if it's later in the night or whatever, and I'm, like, already kind of like, all right, I'm about to head out of here, I'll usually just take whatever I can get. So if I put in a 20 and I get like 40, I'll take it or whatever.
Yeah.
But usually I follow like a triple rule. If I triple the money, I pull it out and then I play with the rest of the cash until I've got only vouchers. And then I pick the lowest voucher and kind of worked my way through. So I've had decent-ish success. I'd say out of 6 times that I've gone, which it's terrible to even say that this is decent success doing only slots, but out of the 6 times I've gone, I think twice I've walked away with at least double what I've brought. The other times I've either broken even or busted nothing.
Fair.
So, it's fun. I do enjoy it. I've gone with Lexi a couple times. We actually stayed in a casino hotel one year for her birthday. That ended up being a pretty decent experience, other than some things that like happened in the casino. But they had free drinks at that one. They just walked around handing out drinks as long as you were playing a slot, like, and you're not just standing there. So I would just be like in the middle of a slot, and the lady'd be like, "Sets on the beach," and I'm like, "Sure, show me the beach." Oh, okay. I take the drink.
Which beach?
Where beach? Huh?
Yeah, I walked in. There was like a bunch of different bars that were around at the casino, and I went to one and I ordered a Woodford old fashioned with Woodford Reserve bourbon. That shit was like $20.
Oh my god! And it was probably like this big.
It was a decent pour, to be fair.
That's good.
But like, like, this is so much money. And like Woodford's like mid-shelf bourbon. It's not even like a crazy expensive bottle.
That is wild. That's a lot of fucking money.
I think Woodford might be like a $40 bottle or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you paid for half that fucking bottle.
Yeah. It was like a $30 to $60 bottle, depending on who you ask.
That's crazy.
So it's not like a crazy expensive bourbon. Yeah, so go to a casino if you want to spend a lot of money.
Liquor premiums is fucking stupid. That place is like that.
Oh, absolutely. Like the idea that the pour that you do, I think general rule of thumb is like that one pour should pay for the bottle.
Yeah, because that's $31 for you. They probably got that bottle for like $10.
Yeah, so like, if one pour pays for the bottle, I do like, even like if I got like a shot of like Jack, they're probably paying $4 for that bottle, $5 for that bottle. So that's like a $5, $6 shot, whatever. It's just kind of asinine. I just think you could charge a little less money.
I feel like you'll be okay.
You would charge a little less money, and you would sell a lot more liquor.
It is kind of crazy how that works,
Like if the little glass of wild turkey I got wasn't $9 and was like $4, I probably would have bought like 2 or 3 instead of 1.
Yeah, you would have been closer to that $12 mark.
Spending more money. I'm just saying, you would sell a lot more liquor, and it would even out.
Yeah, it would
That's
also
what I'm trying to say.
It would also be good because you would get the 2 in you for the $9, and you'd start to feel a little funny. You'd want that
and then
third.
You want the other one. You want the third one, and you don't know what you're doing, or you're not sure. Your impulse control sucks, so you're like, "Oh yeah, I'll tip you $25. I don't care."
Yeah.
Like I just,
So, moral of the story: inebriate your clientele.
That could have been tragic.
That could have been fucking tragic.
It's off screen, but I have a can here, and I punched it, and it hit the laptop, and like kind of went whoop, and almost tipped onto the laptop.
It hit the. That would have been wild. I would have actually shit my ass.
Yeah, I would have crashed out right here. I would have ripped Jordan in half, even though he had nothing to do with it.
Even though he would have been mad at me for not moving his can.
I would have been mad at you for not casting a spell upon the laptop to absorb the liquid.
Yeah. Fucking water bending. Like, no, not today. Speaking of spells, Chris, you done with your casino story? Speaking of spells, I've been wanting to play a few games. I have a couple of games on the wish list that I want to play, but I unfortunately do not want to spend $70 hair on them.
Dude, games are getting fucked up lately, man.
Well, especially this game because it's Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora by Ubisoft.
Is that the one that just came out?
It's about a year old.
Yeah, that's my relative time frame. That's the one where you can. I feel like I've seen gameplay of that? Is this the one where you gotta like fucking collect berries and shit, and you like gotta jump off a thing, and your little dumbass bird picks you up or whatever?
Yeah. There's parts of the game that involve that. I think that might be like the opening or something.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically Far Cry, but you're a big blue dude. That's what it is essentially. So I've been wanting to play that game.
I can see Far Cry 7 being that.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. But I've been wanting to play that game, but it's $70, so I needed to find something to play in the meantime, because I looked on SteamDB, and it's been on sale for $30 before, so I'd rather wait for it to go on sale for $30 than that. And I could get a key for like $35 or $40, but like then if I don't like it, I can't refund it, but if I don't like it on Steam, I can refund it. So, give and take. So I was like, you know what? I got the ROG Ally now. I got Game Pass now. Let's see what's on Game Pass, right? So I was looking around Game Pass, and I started playing Ghostwire Tokyo. You ever heard of that game?
Maybe.
So it's basically a first-person...
It sounds so familiar.
I'll call it RPG, I guess. There's a level system and a skill tree. But it's just kind of like a 10 to 15-hour story open-world game where you play as this guy who has a ghost in his body, and you're basically casting spells and fighting ghosts and trying to basically free up this area of Tokyo. I think it's Shibora or something like that. And, dude... It's a game that I've looked at least 100 times in the past and been like, nah, not for me. And then finally what made me pull the trigger was who developed it. It was Tango Gameworks, who makes The Evil Within, and I was like, I like their style. They got that like corny Japanese to American style, because them being like a Japanese dev making games for Americans. It's got like that really corny like Resident Evil Leon sort of vibe. Yep. So I was like, let me try it. And the game's actually really fucking fun, dude. Actually a pretty good game. It's pretty funny. It's a little like I said, it's a little corny and cheesy, but
well, yeah, cool. It's definitely you can definitely always tell when a game was developed by a Japanese developer, even if they're very American coded, like Resident Evil, like the two most recent ones, 7 and 8. You can tell. You can tell this is Japanese just by the way certain characters interact with one another, or like the way that even the villains are just fucking caricatures.
Yeah.
Basically.
Big hammer dude, tall titty vampire lady.
You can definitely tell when you talk to fucking Heisenberg. When you get to his like big compound, you're like, oh, this is a Japanese game. Yeah. And you could tell before that, but still.
But that's just one.
That's like one instance where you're like, okay, yeah, I can tell. Because he speaks like a dubbed anime character.
Yeah. And he moves like an anime character, too. With the way he goes to run and he's like, I'm so fast.
He gets into combat and his frame rate drops.
Yeah. Basically, like when he calls Chris a boulder punching asshole. Like, okay.
Boulder punching asshole.
Like, that's wild. That's so fucking wild. But, Ghostwire Tokyo has that. I'd say it's a little more obvious than, like, a Resident Evil 7 or 8. Like, older Resident Evils, like 4 especially, wear that on their sleeve a lot. 7 and 8 kind of do it a little more down low. It's more in the characters, like you said, than it is, like, a lot of other stuff. Ghostwire Tokyo is obviously way more in everything because you're, in Tokyo.
Japan,
so, that's the biggest indication, believe it or not, that it has Japanese influence is that you're, there. But it has like the fucking, what do they call it? Nakatu or something like that. The cat merchant. It's like a floating cat that just like sits there like this. And you fucking buy wares from him. Shit like that. Merchant. You pray at different shrines to get abilities. You use like totem cards that you use as like powers and shit. Or like fling it down.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's a really cool game. It's pretty straightforward so far. I'm having a good time with it. It was just kind of like a filler game for now, and I actually ended up enjoying it way more than I thought. So check it out if you haven't. It's a couple of years old now. Maybe 2022.
So, yeah, I'm having trouble with commitment to games recently,
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm like, man, I could be into this game, but, like, I'm going to be into this game for however many hours. Because even now, when I jump into, like, Ragnarok, when I, like, booted that up, it's like, I'll play this for a couple of minutes. We'll see what's going on.
You gotta play Spider-Man 2!
I played for a couple hours, and then, like, But I think that's because I played it before.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I don't know if I want to commit to like a Spider-Man 2 at the moment. Like, I don't even.
It's short though.
I mean, how short is a game in 2024?
It's 13 hours.
It's 13 hours?
Yeah.
And I wanted to do a lot of the side stuff too, though.
Let me get you the official numbers.
I wanted to do a very full playthrough of Spider-Man 2, and that's why I rushed through Miles Morales. I played Miles Morales in a day, and that game's only like 7 hours, to be fair.
So for completionists, it's 28 hours for Spider-Man 2.
It's not half bad, but yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to commit at the moment to a game. I'm kind of just on the train of games that I can jump into for, a couple of minutes, an hour, a couple hours, and then go away. Mm-hmm. And then there's no harm, no foul. Like,
what do you think it is?
I don't know.
Is it just like you think it's like attention span, or you think it's more just like other things are more interesting, like whatever cars?
I think I'm just. I want. I don't know. I think like like I'll jump into Snowrunner, and Snowrunner, I'm not gonna forget what was happening in the story, because I stopped playing it 3 months ago, and then I'm picking it back up. I kind of want that flexibility where I can just jump into a game for a minute and I don't have to know what's going on.
Yeah, you can just start essentially.
And then I can dip out on the game for 6 months. And I can't do that with a story game because I'm gonna be like, all right, I played half of this. I don't fucking remember what happened.
Or you leave off right before an important part.
Yeah.
And you don't know it, and then you come back and like something catastrophic happens, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Right?
I was like, "Oh, I don't know what the significance of this is."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not having trouble committing to a game recently. I don't know what it is, and I think even I haven't played like a lot of games that I haven't played before, recently either.
Yeah, I've been replaying a lot of stuff.
I just like the comfort of playing the same game I've already played. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I can jump into Skyrim for a couple of minutes. I know what's gonna happen here, and it's fun to dick around in a Skyrim world.
Yeah. Yeah, to each their own. I'm quite literally the opposite, where like I kind of get frustrated if I'm replaying the same thing, which is why I don't like Souls-lights, because I know I'm gonna die a lot and have to replay the same thing, so it frustrates me. So like I don't usually go back and play something I beat within the last year or so. The only time I usually will do that is for things like, say, Red Dead 2 or maybe Dying Light, just because there's nothing else like them. Like, I'm sorry, but in 2024, 6 years after Red Dead 2 came out, there's still nothing you can play that will give you the same feeling Red Dead 2 does.
True.
There just isn't.
It's rare that I'll replay a big game like that within the span of a year. Like Ragnarok, I don't know if I'm gonna do a full playthrough of it on PC. But it's been 2 years since I played the game.
Yeah.
Like I played it around when it came out. So.
Yeah, you bought the PS5 for it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I just I don't know. I prefer the whole story approach because like everyone keeps talking to me about playing Satisfactory, and like a lot of people talking about how great that is.
Satisfactory is a lot of fucking fun.
See, that's what's like crazy about like, I don't know, maybe it's my attention span that's kind of like the problem, but like I play a game like that and I'm like, this is cool, but I don't want to do a bunch of the same things to like get a bigger factory or make it automated or do this.
Oh no, I don't
like,
blame you at all.
So
see,
like
that's where a game like Satisfactory or Factorio or like the reason I'll dip out of games like that is because I get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta do 10,000 goddamn things, I don't know what to do, and then I just do none of them and close the game.
All F4 that bitch.
But like with Satisfactory, I think it's a bit more grounded than like Factorio, because it's a first person game where you're making like big 3D structures, whereas like Factorio's a top down, like you're looking at your factory from above type thing. But Satisfactory's a lot of fun. And those are in the vein of games that I like, because I can put on something in the background. I can, and then you eventually start making lists of shit you need to do.
Yeah.
And you make lists, and you're like, okay, I can do this, 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 and this. And then if I do all of this, I can get this, but then I have to adjust this in my production. And Snowrunner's a lot like that too, where it's like, I got to do this, 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 and this, so I can unlock this.
Snowrunner's a great podcast game. That's the only time I've ever played it solo for any length of time. Was like, oh man, I gotta catch up on these podcasts, but I don't want to just sit here and stare at the wall while I listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
Fucking Snowrunner.
I'll put on Mountain Monsters in the background when I play Snowrunner a lot. That's
funny. That's a really funny combination. Actually, it kind of fits.
Mountain Monsters is such a fucking unserious show. I gotta do another roundup of episodes I've seen recently, because there's a 2-part episode that originally aired as a finale for season 3 of the show, but in the HBO Max order, they lump like the first 4 seasons together into 2 seasons.
I remember you
so
saying
it's just like a mid-season finale in season 2, I guess. And it is actually the closest they get to good television in the show.
Oh, really?
It is actually an engaging and enthralling set of episodes. It's still Mountain Monsters, so you still have to deal with that, their whole shenanigans.
With the low IQ, yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's a lot of fun to see. Maybe I'll do a write-up on those 2 episodes, because those were a lot of fucking fun. There's a lot of like a hillbilly shenanigans. There's a lot of like, a lot of rolling around in the woods. Someone gets naked at some point.
Hell yeah.
It's and also the end of the episode feels inconsequential but satisfying kind of at the same time. And it's also, when you actually put more than a second of thought into it, fucking hilarious. So maybe I'll do a write-up of those 2 episodes. If you want to watch them, watch on HBO Max. I'm not sure the actual episode numbers, but they're on HBO Max, and the episode titles are Ames Under Attack. I think that's part 1 and part 2. Ames Under Attack and Ames Erupts, I think, are what the 2 episodes are called. Genuinely a lot of fun.
Damn. You heard it here first. You got a compelling approval, Chris approval.
Those are like the first episodes I've seen that are like, I think those are maybe 8 or 9 out of 10.
TV.
And if we're looking at in the realm of where that TV show occupies, of like reality television,
it's 10 out of 10.
It's a 10, solid 10 episode of television that I've seen.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Damn, big recommendations over here. But speaking of things that are subpar, no, I'm just kidding. It's too harsh. Hellblade 2. You ever play Hellblade 1? Have you ever seen anything on it?
Nope.
So, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's the first game in the series of 2.
I take that back. I played like the first hour of it.
Yeah, did the voices freak you out and you never came back?
No, I think I just got bored.
So, that game is essentially we'll just call it like a psychedelic walking simulator, so to speak.
That's probably why I got bored.
So, the first game, you're playing as this girl, Senua, and she has voices in her head. She's kind of like a schizophrenic. And the big thing the first game hinged around was like, it told a story that kind of made sense, but it was done through vague mythology and sort of fantastical elements, all while the big like wow factor of it was the visuals, the cinematography, and the sound design. Like, you don't play Hellblade without headphones. You just don't. And I'm not someone who usually plays with headphones, but I played 2 and 1 both with headphones, because the whole point of it is you have voices in your head that use binaural audio.
That is insane to me, by the way, that you don't use headphones. I use headphones for everything.
Really? Yeah,
I use headphones when I'm alone in my house on my phone. If I pull something up on my phone, I'll pop a earbud in.
So personally, I enjoy using headphones more than not, but the problem is either A, getting them set up to work with a handheld can sometimes be a pain in the dick.
Fair.
And B, usually the second I put the headphones on, like those memes you see on Instagram are not fake. The second I put the headphones on, I'll hear a noise and I'll look and Lexi's having a fucking 40-minute conversation with me that I didn't hear a single sound of. And it's like, shut up.
see the yeah, because no one bothers me.
That's my problem. If I have headphones, I'm immediately bothered by every single person within the proximity.
The closest I get to being bothered by someone is the cat will come and scream at me for a while.
Yeah.
Or I'll let him in my room and he'll stand right here. He'll put his big dumb paws on my chest and my face, and he'll just look at me.
Yeah, let me put it to you this way. We are in the fall semester of college. The last time I used my headphones was the fall semester of college last year. They were dead when I tried to use them this semester.
That's
my
crazy.
Mark IVs. They were sitting in their bag, hanging there. I opened them, like, oh, they won't turn on. They were just fucking dead.
See, this is how I justify a purchase like Mark Vs, where it's like I use these
all
daily.
The time. Yeah.
I use my Mark Vs several hours a day.
Yeah, I wish. I miss being able to use my headphones as much as I did, but Hellblade is one of the games I made a huge exception for. Like, I put the earbuds in. I used the Galaxy Buds just because they were easier to have in the case or whatever. And I just straight up said, like, I'm getting into it. We're listening. What's going on?
Sorry, I just checked my Discord messages. Back to what we were saying.
So, yeah, with Hellblade 1, I listened to it with headphones, played it. And that's, like, the big thing is it's telling a story. It's pretty interesting. The characters are pretty cool. There's basically only the one physical character. The rest are voices and, like, silhouettes of people in her life. And then Hellblade 2 came out. And mainly the reason I didn't play it at launch was, number one, it was Xbox and PC exclusive, so I couldn't play it on PS5. And it didn't run great on Steam Deck. And I wasn't really that interested in doing any sort of streaming of it or anything. So I was like, I'll get to it someday. And then when I got the Ally, I was like, yo, you know what? That game will probably actually run now, and it does. It runs better anyway. So I decided on Game Pass, when I first got the Ally, I was like, I'm going to play Hellblade 2. It's on Game Pass.
Right.
And I played it. And, like, it improves on a lot of things. So it's, I would say, hands down, the most cinematic combat I've ever seen in a game. Like, hands down. But also kind of not in a good way. Like, it's in a way where in God of War, you have a health bar, you get hit, Kratos goes, owie, and then he just dies, right?
Yes.
This game has a progressive health system that isn't a health bar. So you'll get hit, and the screen does like a blood effect, like Call of Duty, and then that kind of goes away. And if you continue to get hit, eventually the character gets knocked down, and the camera's real low on the ground, looking up at them as they're like wincing on the ground, and you have to spam the button to evade the final blow. And if that happens too many times, you just die. But it's very cinematic in the way it does things. So like it astounded me at some points on like how things happened. Like, for example, I just randomly, like, I got knocked down at one point, and I wasn't spamming the button fast enough, and the guy went to swing, and I was like, I'm just going to hit the block button. I'm going to die anyway. Like, whatever. Just instinctually, I hit the block button, and the character actually, while wincing on the ground, did, like, a last-minute turn and deflected the blow, and then that was my final stand. I was like, it never fucking told me I could do that. I just figured that out.
That's crazy.
So it did shit like that. So the combat is so far and few between, but it's really fun but simple. And, like, it's not, I would never say go to the game for the combat, but I found it so cinematic and, like, beautiful and elegant in a way. Like, think of The Witcher, the way he's very pirouette. It's very similar to that.
Like, the combat isn't very engaging, but it's pretty to look at.
Yeah, it's really fucking pretty to look at.
That's probably what threw me off about the game, or why I stopped playing, because I walked into it like God of War.
And it's nothing like that.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to dodge, I'm going to do this, and get a little stabby in, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just not God of War.
Yeah. And so the Hellblade 2, you know, it got the better combat. I enjoy it more than Hellblade 1. The story makes far less sense. Maybe I'm just a moron, but I feel like the story makes far less sense. They leaned way too much into the mythology side of it, where there's this whole concept of fighting the gods.
So you have to have a baseline of mythology to know what's going on. Kind of.
Like, it's not like common mythos. Like, it's Norse mythos, but they're not talking about, like, Thor and Odin. They're talking about these other, I think, like, real, actual gods that were followed back then, not like the ones we know of.
So they're like, you know, it's like fighting the gods, but not literally like a god of war.
Yeah, but then they personify the gods, though. So, like, you'll fight giants. That's, like, the main story. You actually fight genuine giants, but you never go toe-to-toe. It's all psychedelic
But
warfare.
You're not fucking beating the brakes off of Odin himself.
No, and you're not even, like, you're not even, like, fisticuffs with the god. You're literally psychedelically fighting these creatures. So it's like, it'll be a giant, and that giant is trapped here by rage, so you are now what they call a seer, where you can almost like see people's rage, or I guess more like an empath, but more mystical.
Right.
And the whole point is like, Senua will lure this giant to a place and do a ritual and get inside their mind and free them from the shackles that bind them, and then they'll disappear. And like it does that a couple times, and the story builds up to like why this all happens, and then it just comes to a head with this main villain guy. Like, do you care if I spoil it?
Not really.
No. So spoilers for Hellblade 2 if you care. There's this guy. The game opens with you on a slave ship. You're being kidnapped by people who are stealing your people to make offerings.
This woman cannot catch a break.
No, she can't. So you're on a slave ship, and there's basically people stealing you. We'll just say, like, the East and the West, right? You're from the West civilization. They're from the East, and they're stealing people from the West to put out as offerings to these gods, quote unquote. So your ship gets fucking marooned or whatever, you're lost on the island, you fight a guy who's pretty badass who fucks you up, but you finally get the upper hand and you fuck him up and you keep him as a slave because he works for the people you're trying to hunt or whatever. So you basically are on a journey with him.
Right.
And other side characters to introduce, and it just kind of turns out where that guy's actually a good guy, you like him now, and you're realizing that they're doing this to protect themselves, and you have the ability to stop those gods, quote unquote, entirely, so they don't have to take slaves anymore and put them up as offerings. So that's why you're fighting the giants. So you do all this fighting for the giants, then you go to the last giant, and the last giant is in the hometown of this guy whose dad is the leader, and he's like, hey, don't worry, I'll tell my dad that you can fight giants, we'll fight the giant, he'll be on our side, and everything will be peaceful. And then you get there, and the guy's like, no, fuck you. You can't fight giants. I don't believe you. I don't care that my son said he saw it, and this other guy said they saw it firsthand, that you can do this. We're imprisoning you. And they knock you out, and they try killing you or putting you up as a sacrifice, right? Okay. Because your ship sunk. There's no sacrifices, so they want to use you as the main sacrifice.
Right.
Essentially, you kind of break free. The guy turns on his dad. The dad gets the upper hand and kills him. And then what happens is you fight the dad, and you're not, like, able to fight him for some reason. Like, there's just something about him where he's, like, just better, right? And the whole thing with the giants is you need to know their true name, right? So, like, they have a name that people give them, and then they have the name of who they are at the core of that creature, right? So they might call the creature, to use, like, a God of War mythic name, Surtur, right? But that dude's name is John, you know? So
his name's John.
So the big thing is you have to figure out the monster's name, and she figures out that the main giant, the evil one, is this fucking guy. He started all of it. So essentially you just get the upper hand on him and don't even really kill him. You just kind of like out him as the bad guy, and the game just sort of ends. But like a lot of it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, the first game made sense. You were a schizophrenic trying to find yourself on a journey, and you had a lover who died, and you were just kind of upset about it. And it was kind of like a sort of a remorse story, where you're sort of fucked up because of the scarring of what led to this.
Right.
The second one, maybe I just missed something. Like, I went on Reddit, I looked at what people had to say, and like it made sense when they laid it out, but it wasn't like aha, you know, like it wasn't like, oh, I see it now. It was just kind of like, yeah, I guess you could derive that from what happened.
It sounds like it's kind of blurring the line between video game and art project.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's a lot of room in gaming for art, you know, for like art project type games, like how but I don't think there's as much room as there is in like film. Where, like, film, you can have specifically, like, an artsy sort of film or an art-type film that's a little more abstract or whatever. I don't know if that translates very well to video games, but there's still definitely room for it. So I'm not saying that there's no room for it, but, like, when I see a game like Hellblade, at least the first one, I was anticipating seeing, like, in-depth, like, really chunky, meaty combat. Yeah. That you would see out of like a God of War or something.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get that, and I got this like, you know, sort of artsy kind of thing, and I didn't want to play an artsy kind of thing that day. Yeah. So
I think that's the root of it, like you said, is like in media, in movies, right? You have a 2-hour movie, we'll say even like a long movie, like a 3-hour movie that's a glorified art project. but everything's being fed to the viewer, right? Everything's coming at you at a constant stream. You're not making any decisions. It's all happening before you.
Yeah.
But when you're, and there might be like a big vista where the characters are walking and talking over this big mountain view, and it's super artsy and beautiful, and you're listening to the characters. But when you have to hold the thumbstick up for 45 minutes to walk across that vista, it really gets old. That's kind of.
Or when the story is like distributed out over like pages I have to search for or whatever.
That's another thing.
Like, oh, I picked up a page of a book that I found on the ground, and it's got 7 paragraphs of information on it.
Yeah.
I'm not reading that. I'm not going to read that.
That's a big thing Hellblade does, where you have to look for these faces in the stones, and then if you look at them at the right angle to complete the face, it'll go, and it will actually be the rots in different depths from each other, so it'll create like a channel. And then you walk through the channel, and there'll be like almost like a cairn, like a Viking cairn or whatever. And you focus on that, and it will play a dialogue of Senua's mentor telling like some backstory of like there was a war here and blah blah blah.
I would prefer an audio log like that to like a fucking
reading
page of a book.
I prefer that, but I also don't prefer when I have to search for it on like a nitpicky level. Like it should be on my path, or just give me what do they call it? Not like a lore dump, but give me whatever the hell you call the dialogue in between scenes where they're just like giving you a bunch of info.
Oh, like an exposition sort of.
That's yeah. Give me exposition where when I'm doing that boring like through the Viking lands, like maybe the guy can be like, hey, there was a war here and blah blah. Don't make me go search for a fucking rock.
Yeah, as much as people like kind of do complain about it, do what Rockstar games do.
Yeah.
Where like the story, a lot of the story of like GTA 5 or like Red Dead 2 plays out while you're sitting on a horse or in a car going to where your mission is.
And it's always like pretty well written that if you're not trying to, you don't get there before like the audio can finish. Like if you follow the character's cadence, you get this like pretty view with a nice info dump, and then all of a sudden you're right back in the action, Yeah. Like, yeah, just do that. I don't know. But either way, Hellblade 2, overall, I give it like a solid 7. It's a good time if you're really into that style of game. It's definitely beautiful. It's one of the best looking games I've ever played, and mocap-wise, one of the best acted and played out. So I give it props for that. But beyond that, it doesn't have a whole lot, I feel like, on the table. So
yeah,
if you got Game Pass, give it a try. If you played the first one and you have Game Pass, there's no reason not to try the second one. I'll put it that way. It's a good Game Pass game. But I would not be paying $60 for it.
That's a good point. I think Game Pass really opens up, like, it makes a lot of shit accessible that is like, I'm not going to pay for this shit. But then I pay for Game Pass. I'm like, oh, it's not Game Pass. I might as well give it a shot.
Yeah. You have nothing to lose other than some time.
That's how I felt about Forza Horizon 5, and I ended up loving the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
But, like, I have it on Game Pass, so it doesn't matter. I don't know if it's exactly worth a $60 purchase, but...
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's all I got.
But, yeah, I think that's the end of this one.
All right. So, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify have the video platforms where you can see us. You can see my really cool Red Dead Redemption 2 t-shirt that I had today.
No, you can't.
Nuh-uh.
Why don't you grab my hand like that, you freak?
It says that I just grabbed my nipples. What are you talking about?
Dude, I'm not weird.
Not weird. I just grabbed your chest, man.
I'm
not weird. I was just touching up on you, man. Not weird. I was just touching you, man.
I was just touching you.
I don't even know where I left off at this point. Oh, yeah, YouTube, Spotify, and then Instagram, TikTok. There's shit there. Email, synapsemisfire, PM.me. Send us your comments, questions, nerds, and death threats, and little kitty stuff. And also, I want to do a Halloween thing this year. Not like a whole ass video per se, but like
we're gonna pull our Halloweens out.
Whoa, dude. Yeah, I sent Chris a picture the other day of something. I was like, oh, we should do like a on-air skit.
I think that might be a podcast bit, but yeah. I think we could discuss perhaps off camera. Off camera we can perhaps discuss. Had to put my words in the right order. Something else we might want to do. Yeah, we might have a standalone thing as well, or the idea Jordan had might be a standalone thing. I don't know. I just work.
Well, you might just get nothing.
Well, yeah, or honestly, we might just upload this and then never upload again. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that could happen.
There's a lot that can happen. We could both explode and die tomorrow.
Especially with us being so famous now.
Yeah, like like Joe Rogan could go and try to claim his #1 podcast slot again by shooting us with a gun.
Yeah, now that we've dethroned him, yeah.
We're going to be walking. I'm going to be going to work, and he's going to be in the trees with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to turn on my car, and it's going to blow up.
Fucking car bomb you. That's wild.
And then Joe Rogan's going to put the video on his podcast. Jamie, pull the guy up. Jamie, pull up the video of the guy I car bombed. Pull up the video of the guy that I put an ignition bomb in his car and he blew up and died.
Yeah, and he
Jamie,
gets
pull
away
that
with
up.
it. He gets away with it. All right.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.